Hello everybody, welcome back. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on these videos. I do read all the comments and I love hearing from you. And you can also share these videos, it helps the channel a lot. And if you want to look at all of the other videos from the Wizard Golf playlist, you can check the icon here or click on the link in the description. And remember that new videos come out every Sunday morning. So today we're going to talk a little bit more on bunker play. Last time we went over the foundations. Today we're going to go over the actual techniques that you will use, how to move your body in order to move the club, and a few more details about how to splash or blast the ball out of the sand and onto the green. So first I want to talk about the upper body motions, and I hope you've been following along with all the other videos so you already have a pretty good understanding of what those foundations are. And that is, we definitely use a one-piece takeaway, using the triangle, taking the club back or taking the body back, allowing the club to follow us like so. So this is going to be very similar in the sand. You already know how to set up. We will be playing the ball in the front of the stance, but the upper body is going to move around. Now, I'd explained to you in the other videos that when we move around, we really don't want to pick the club up any, because then we would be chopping across it, because at some point if I rotate backwards and pick the club up or pick my arms up, at some point I will have to drop the arms back down or turn and pull them down simultaneously, which would cut across the ball slightly this way. In the sand, however, this is actually preferable. So when you rotate backwards, it's not just a rotation backwards, but also a slight picking up. In other words, the distance of your right elbow to your side is going to increase slightly as you go back. The club is going to travel away from you. So as you rotate, there's also a slight picking up. Visually, I like to think that I'm taking it up diagonally instead of just around me. The club seems to travel in a diagonal fashion out this way. So I think of picking up and rotating the arm coming up, and this creates a situation where the club cuts across the ball. As you can see, the club is traveling across the line this way. The club path is what they would call outside in. Now this is going to be preferable in the sand. If we have a path that's too inside or too shallow coming from the inside, it's very hard to hit the ball the way that we want to, because the club face is open. So we really need to cut across the ball a bit, and to make this happen, we pick the arms up as we rotate backwards. So we rotate backwards with our triangle and pick the arms up slightly so that the club is traveling in this direction across the line. You see, in that position, I picked my arms up. Where I would normally rotate just like this, my arms have gone to this position, so I've picked my arms up that far when swinging backwards. If I swung without picking my arms up, my swing would be here. But by picking my arms up, my swing is now here. You see, my arms are a little bit higher than they would be. So when my arm's coming from this direction, that allows me to cut across the ball. And this is what we want in the sand, to slightly cut across the ball. So in addition to the rotation that we've talked about in the other pitch swings and the other videos, you also want to pick up slightly, pick the arms up to create a slight cut swing. Okay, now we'll talk about the lower body. So your lower body is also going to move. Oftentimes, I see too many players trying to be too rigid, too fixed on the lower body, and only turning from the belt up, trying to swing something like this. And that's just, it's not good enough. We really need to turn the hips in order to move properly. The hips are connected to our torso, so by turning the hips, it allows us to move a lot better. So don't be afraid to allow your lower body to move. It helps you keep in balance. You must allow your hips to move and your legs to move with your hips. As I move my hips backwards, or as I rotate my hips backwards or to the right, in my backswing, my legs naturally move like this. Just moving my hips causes my left leg to come this way and my right leg to extend. And when I go the other way, the opposite happens. The right leg comes forward and the left leg extends. So this is the motion that the lower body is making in the golf swing and also in sand shots. So my sand shot swing would look something like this. Notice that the hips move and then move forward. I'm not swinging just like this with no lower body movement. I use my legs to help me balance, to create my distance away from the ball. I use my legs to help me turn. My lower body is my foundation. It's what connects us to the ground, and it must be somewhat mobile. It has to move with the upper body in conjunction with it so that we get everything synchronized. Definitely allow your legs to move as you're playing your bunker shots and rotate. As you rotate backwards, your hips move backwards, everything comes back, rotates backwards, and then rotates through. Now we'll discuss attack angle. We discussed attack angle in the last videos on pitching, but it's also applicable in the bunker because this is one of the things that we can vary throughout all of our golf shots. I know you've heard of attack angle when it comes to a driver, that you want to have an upward and a positive angle of attack, hitting it upwards to get maximum distance. But with all the other irons, with all of the other clubs except the driver, because the ball is on the ground, we must have a downward angle of attack so that we can hit the ball downwards. But we can vary how sharp or how steep that angle of attack is. In the bunker, we certainly want to have quite a descending blow because we need to hit the dirt under it. But understand that the club is going to be traveling downwards anyway, so we don't really have to increase a standard angle of attack. Just because this is working like this, if the club is vertical, then as the club goes back, it goes up, and just coming back to vertical, the club face is traveling downward on an arc. So already it's traveling downward. In other words, I don't have to necessarily attempt to increase this angle of attack. As I rotate back, you see that the club travels upwards and I come through, and the club travels downwards towards the ball. So the angle of attack, you can experiment with what is going to work best for you. It's difficult for me to tell you the exact angle of attack. It's really done through experimentation. Different angles of attack are going to produce different types of shots. You just have to get in the bunker and try different ones out and see which one you like. The more that I pick my arms up, the steeper the angle of attack is going to be. And the more hinge I use, the steeper the angle of attack is going to be. So keep these things in mind, that the more hinge you use, the steeper the club is going to pick up, and the more that you pick your arms up, the steeper it's also going to be. Our sand swing, our bunker swing is going to be similar to a pitch. We do need to use some hinge. We cannot just try to chip it out. So we need to use some hinge because we need enough power to blast it out of the sand. Now, I've explained how this works before, how we use the bounce to hit the ground, and the bounce hits the ground and then blasts it up out of the sound. It bounces off the sand and hits the ball, or hits the sand and knocks it out of the bunker. What's imperative to know about this, that in bunker shots, as we are cutting across the ball some, in a bunker shot, we do not turn the hands over like this through the shot. We have to maintain the face open and allow the club to flip under and not try to turn it over like this, which is a completely different thing. In the other golf shots, we kind of do want the face to come over like this to close up, but in the bunker shot, we want to flip it where it comes straight around and it doesn't turn over. So we have to maintain the face open by allowing the club face and holding it open, allowing it to flip under the ball like so, and not turning over. So it's important in the bunker that you don't try to turn the club over into the ball, but that you maintain the face open through impact and allow it to fold under like so. This allows the club to flip under the ball with the face staying open, because if you try to close the face down, then the face is going to be rotating close through impact, and we don't want that. We want the face to stay open the entire way, so we will hit it like this. So we do want to release the club under the ball. When we were chipping, we wanted to maintain the hands in front and hit the ball like this. And when pitching, we had options. We could keep the hands in front a little bit and pitch like this, or we could really allow the club to release under the ball. Here, we definitely want the club to release at the end. In other words, we want the club to unhinge at the ball, like so. We want that club to unhinge under the ball, just like that. But notice that when I do this motion, I am not just trying to flip my hands under it. I'm allowing the club to unhinge through the ball as I continue to rotate through the shot. Many errors that golfers make in the bunker is swinging and trying to just hit it with the hands and flip the hands under the ball. That's just not strong enough. You need the power of the body to move the club through the sand to have enough power and acceleration so that it hits the sand and then bounces the club up into the ball. The hands alone are just not enough to do that. So try not to flip it, but we do want the club to pass us. But you must use your body as power, your upper body, your hips, your torso, your legs as you move through the ball. It's important in the sand to accelerate through the follow through and go all the way under the ball through it. You cannot just stop at the ball like so. So keep everything moving. So now you're ready to actually hit the ball out of the bunker. When you hit the ball out of the bunker, we don't want to hit the ball first. On greenside bunkers, we want to hit the sand or the dirt first. You want to really impact the sand, ideally about 2 inches behind the ball, give or take an inch, but about this far behind the ball. That's going to produce your best shot. Just a little bit behind the ball, maybe even a ball width, a ball diameter behind the ball. So you pick a spot that's that distance behind the ball. When you swing, you need to look at that spot. Your eyes will go wherever you're looking, so you need to look at the spot in the sand that you want to hit, not the ball. If you look at the ball, you're likely to catch the ball first and then you'll scull it over the green. Really focus your attention and your vision on the spot in the sand behind the ball, the place where you want to impact the sand. And now we'll talk about the pre-shot routine. You want to have an idea of what you want to do before you actually poise yourself to hit the shot. You have to have an idea of what type of swing you're going to put on the ball, how shallow or how steep you're going to be, how much you're going to pick up your arms. And then once you have that in mind, once you've made a decision of what type of shot you're going to hit, how you're going to get it out, do it. Don't take too much time. If you sit there on top of the ball, you start to doubt yourself. It's going to be difficult to get started, to get going if you start to doubt yourself. So you want to make a decision as you walk up, and part of your pre-shot routine is picking the spot where you're going to pit it in the dirt, lining up, getting your feet set in the sand, digging in if you want to do so, adjusting your grip. And I really like to move the club up and down a little bit so I can have an idea of the weight of it, because we can't put the club in the dirt. So I like to float it some and just really get an idea of the weight. And I waggle it a couple of times, understanding the power, and I'm looking at the path that I want the club to go back. And I waggle it a couple of times and prepare myself to hit the shot, and then hit the shot. Once you practice this, it will become quite easy. It will take many, many balls and many shots of you doing this to get an idea of how you're going to get it out of the sand, how the ball reacts, hitting it this far behind the ball as opposed to this far behind the ball, and getting comfortable with the fact that you're keeping the face open through the shot, allowing it to flip up under the ball. I want you to understand that the things that I'm showing you guys here on this channel, unlike the other channels of golf that I see where they promise you every time or increase 30 yards, this channel isn't about that. I'm showing you tried and true techniques that I've used over years, that I've developed over years and hours of practice. There is no simple quick fix to your golf game. If you want to get good at it, you have to practice. You have to get in the bunker and hit dozens or hundreds of balls out of there so you have a familiarity of how it works. If you want to get good at chipping or putting or driving or anything, you have to go out and do the work. Yeah, it's like life. Nothing comes easy. You have to apply effort and energy and hard work, and then you will see the results. If you want to be fit, you have to work out. It's no different. So I just want you guys to know that the stuff that I'm showing you on this channel, I hope you don't think that this is any kind of quick fix. These are just techniques that you can take and that you can utilize to improve your game, but it will require that you put in the time. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate all of you who have subscribed and who comment and like these videos. Next week, we'll be going over a few more details about the bunker shots, particularly adverse lies and different conditions, so we can get it out of the bunker if we don't have a perfectly flat or a good lie. We'll talk about how to deal with those situations. Until then, you can check out 2 of my other videos here and subscribe here. Thanks a lot. Till next time.